Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're doing well today. So, I have been currently thinking a lot about how I am currently reinforcing the negative beliefs or the shame that I'm currently experiencing in my life. Okay, and so I thought I'd share a little bit about my insights or thoughts that I came up with because it can be useful for me to see my own progress, and hopefully it can be useful for you to also see how I am kind of moving through this landscape in a way. All right. So, one of the things I came to realize is that many of us, we have very perverted and unconscious desires for maybe scarcity or rejection or worthlessness, because in some kind of weird way it feels good to confirm the negative beliefs we might hold about ourselves. Okay, it's something called confirmation bias, where we want to look for evidence that supports our beliefs. Now, if we have negative limiting beliefs about ourselves, we derive some sense of pleasure from finding evidence that supports this limiting belief or these limiting beliefs. Okay, if I allow myself to really get carried away by resentment and anger and disappointment, at some level it feels, strangely enough, good to face rejection or disappointment from others, because then I can justify my resentment, then I can justify the negative feelings that I experience, because I can tell people or myself, you see, I knew I couldn't trust this person, or you see, I knew I wasn't worthy of their respect or love and attention. Okay? Now, it's really important to become aware of these tendencies, of these beliefs that we want to confirm in our reality, because if we're not aware, then we can't change them. Okay, if you're not consciously aware of the limiting beliefs we have, we cannot change them. Right? So the first step is always to become aware. And I have to admit that currently there's a lot of limiting beliefs that are seemingly holding me back. And especially when I feel in chaos, when I feel like I have very little control over how I feel or how the people are responding to me in life, okay, then I can quickly resort to protection mechanisms and all sorts of mental loops that drive me in a negative direction. Right? So it's really important to be aware when this is happening. And I have to admit that right now this is happening more and more. And it's not good. But I want to talk about these things because obviously life is not always flowers, rosebuds, and sunshine. All right? And I like to be someone who spreads a positive message, and I will continue to do so. Even in this video, I want to mention that there is room for change. Okay? And the reason why I record this video is not only to bring these ideas to your attention, but also to help myself structure my thoughts and remind myself that, okay, even though you might be in a darker place, there is still ways to move towards the light. There is still ways to become aware of these limiting beliefs, to call them out, to talk about them, because by talking about them, you bring them to your conscious awareness, right? You speak it into existence, and then you can start to reshape them. Okay? So the message I want to share is that it's important to not only focus on the good, or the positive reframing of things, or the excitement and the joy and the supposedly more positive experiences in life, because while it's more enjoyable, or at least seemingly more enjoyable, to spend more time in these states of mind, they can also have very strong repercussions, because the human experience, the whole range of human emotions, is there for a reason. Okay, every emotion has its purpose, and if we compulsively try to avoid the more uncomfortable types of emotions, then we will pay the price for that. And I feel like I am at a stage in my life where I am kind of paying the price for chasing too much of the highs or the positive experiences in my life. I remember last summer 2020, I was extremely excited. I was very focused on my own selfish wants, needs, and desires, and I was chasing hedonistic pleasures. I spent time being a photographer. I hung out with a lot of supposedly hot model girls. I attended the parties. So there was a lot of chasing the highs kind of behaviors. But at some point you pay the price for that. And I feel like that is exactly the place that I'm in now. Now, that doesn't mean that there is no value to be found here. There is, I believe, tremendous value to be found in the valleys, okay, in the low points of your life. This is where you build the resilience. This is where you plant the seeds for further development. Your character is only truly tested until you face real hardships. Okay, when things are easy, then it's easy to be a good person. When things are tough, then it's a way bigger challenge to be a good person. And so I am really trying to explore different avenues for myself to do the work that is necessary for me to move through this valley, because I'm in a valley right now, and I want to talk about this. I don't want to pretend to not be in this valley, but I don't want to talk about it with a heavy tone, with a sad negative perspective. Not at all, because actually I'm very grateful that this is happening, because all this negative energy, it's potential energy. There's a lot of potential energy. I'm doing a lot of research. I am getting frustrated about myself. I'm really feeling so frustrated because I seem to keep myself stuck in this valley, all right? And after a certain amount of time has accumulated, this frustration will allow me to break through that plateau, okay? And then I will re-emerge with a new level of insight, a new level of wisdom. And I will be able to carry that with me and share the lessons that I've learned. And I actually want to share these lessons as I go about them, because it's very valuable, at least to me personally, to watch someone go through different stages. Okay, you can then go back and move forward. So in 6 months from now, I will be a completely different person than I am today, right? And that is endlessly fascinating. I honestly feel that this is one of the most fascinating things, how people can evolve and change and morph and improve themselves, okay? And they can have some kind of backlash, okay? The ego backlash is a real thing. Once you start to, to rise up, once you make progress towards moving upwards, then at some point there is going to be an ego backlash, and you will have to figure out a few things that you might have left out. And that is exactly what is happening to me right now. I have left out big parts of my shadow self, the perverted, twisted desires that I get from feeling sad, from feeling angry, the messed up thoughts that I have in my mind, the desires for power or status. These are twisted, dark desires that I don't like to look at necessarily. But if you continue to suppress these desires, these subconscious drives, if you don't learn to bring them to your conscious awareness, they will foster, okay? They will morph and twist and express themselves through different channels. And one of the things that Carl Jung, the famous depth psychologist, is very well known for is his quote where he mentions, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will run your life and you will call it fate." And I feel like there has been a lot of unconscious forces that have been ruling my life. So now, because I'm in this valley, I am almost forced to look at this with different eyes. I can't escape this anymore. Okay? And so the reason why I talk about this is to bring it to people's conscious awareness that we often want to believe that we are good, decent, compassionate people. But then we might find ourselves in terrible situations. We might find ourselves in very painful relationships with people, very toxic dynamics. We might feel like we're alone, like we don't fit in. We might feel like we are unhappy with our careers or with our family lives. There might be so many different situations that we are displeased by. But I am starting to believe more and more that at some twisted, perverted level, we derive some kind of pleasure from that pain. We're all a little bit masochistic in some way. At some deep level, we are looking for these situations. And of course, I can't speak for you. I can only speak for myself. And if I'm really honest, this is precisely the case for me. I derive some kind of pleasure from the pain that I go through. It's as if I have to go through this pain because I'm so ashamed, for example, or because I feel like I made a lot of mistakes in my life and I have to pay for that. Karma is there to it's time to pay my dues, if you will. Okay? And I feel like this is a time that I'm going through now, and I take it with courage, and I take it in good spirit. And sometimes, of course, I feel like a victim, and I feel negative, and then I derive pleasure from that, because at some level it feels good to play the victim. It's easy. It's an escape from responsibility. Oh, poor me. But life doesn't work that way. At some point, you will have to take responsibility. At least that is what I came to realize. So yes, of course, sometimes I feel like a victim, but in general, I face it head on, and I look for ways to fight this or to learn from this. Not necessarily fight, because you can't fight it. Life is throwing you the obstacles you need to overcome, and I firmly believe that this is the case. So one of the beliefs that I have is the universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you need. And this phase in my life is exactly what I need right now. And it might be exactly what you need right now as well, okay? I am not sure if you are at a low point in your life, but if you are, what helps me in these situations is to understand that it's temporary, and there's a lot of value to be found, a lot of lessons to be learned, a lot of energy, potential energy that is being generated. And so I'm looking for solutions, and I'm learning, and I'm growing, and I am faced with my demons. And resentment plays a big role in my life. It's something that I struggle with a lot, and that I feel ashamed about also, because it's so ugly. Resentment is so ugly. It's a lack of appreciation, it's a lack of love, it's frustration, it's disappointment, it's ugly, it's really ugly, and I very much judge it within myself, which means I also judge it within others, okay? Usually what we judge within ourselves is what we judge within others, and the other way around. So resentment is something that I really struggle with at different stages in my life, and I feel like I'm currently very resentful towards myself for not being able to meet my own needs, for not being able to treat myself with compassion. And it's not the right approach, and intuitively I can feel it, but I still need to burn through this karma in a way. I still need to move past this to then emerge at the other side. Okay, so just a few thoughts on how the valleys in our lives can become soil, fertile soil, for reaching a new level in our lives, a new level of maturity. But you have to take it with courage, and don't give up. I will not give up. It's not because I'm struggling right now that I want to give this up. And if you are struggling right now, I am here to support you, and I'm here to let you know that you're not alone, okay? Suffering that is shared is reduced, it's halved almost, and joy and celebration that is shared is multiplied. I firmly believe that this is the case. So I want to share the suffering so you can feel less alone with this, and obviously I can record my own process, right? It's okay that things get tough sometimes. It's not something to complain about. So those are just a few thoughts I felt like sharing. I hope they were at some point or level inspiring or informative. And I really want to thank you for your attention and your authenticity and genuine support. Okay? And as always, thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.